I'm Mel.
And I'm Janelle.
And this is the Murder Mamas.
The Murder Mamas.
Welcome.
I said I was ready and then I was taking a drink.
Yep. That happened last time.
Yeah,
but somehow I deleted that. There was like a clip and I thought I deleted the whole thing. And I was like, oh, and Auntie had to come and like recover it. And I was sweating. And I'm like, oh my God.
Oh my God.
Somehow, I don't know, I couldn't get back that part.
Dang it.
It just, didn't happen.
Sucks for them.
It sucks for them.
Do you remember that one time when you did delete an entire episode?
Yeah, I do. It's awesome.
I'm trying to edit it.
Trying not to do that.
Back in the days.
Back in the days. And again, this week, or last week, when I deleted it.
Oh, yeah.
You ready to get right in? Want to talk about anything?
No.
No?
Let's go.
Okay. All right, so we're going to talk about Ashley Pond. There's another.
Mel.
Okay.
Get it together.
Okay. We're going to talk about Ashley Pond and Miranda Gaddis.
Okay.
Okay.
I've never heard of these ones.
Yeah. Probably not. I hadn't heard of them either. I just happened to be listening to something and then it caught my interest and then I started researching it and it's like a whole big thing. I could make like 3 different episodes off
You
of
went
this.
down the rabbit hole.
I did go down the rabbit hole. So,
I hate when I go down the rabbit hole and I'm like, I want to do
well,
this.
there's so much. I know it's like there's so much more, but then it'd be talking about multiple generations and multiple different people. So I thought that would be more of a.
Oh, I was more talking about like sometimes I get so far deep in a case.
That too.
Like the sunk cost fallacy. I'm like, I can't restart with something else.
Right.
Like I gotta power through this one. But by the time I get here on Thursday night, I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Yep. It happens. Okay. So on March 1st, 1989, Ashley Pond was born. Ashley was 12 when she and her mother, Lori, lived in Newell Creek Village Apartments in Oregon City, Oregon.
Okay.
Ashley was in the 7th grade at Gardiner Middle School. She was on the swim and dance teams in school. She had lots of friends. She was outgoing and overall was a kind and smart person.
Okay.
On January 9th, 2002, 12-year-old Ashley Pond disappeared on her way to meet the school bus. It was just after 8 a.m. and Ashley was running late, like she did a lot of the times. The bus stop was just 10 minutes from the Newell Creek Apartments where she lived, but Ashley never got on the bus and never made it to her middle school. She was a 12-year-old needing to get herself to school every day by herself because her mom would go to work earlier and then she would have to go.
Yeah.
So she missed the bus. She was
a latchkey kid.
Yeah, she was a latchkey kid and she missed the bus a lot. That was not unusual for her.
Isn't it wild to think like kids used to just like walk?
Yeah.
I remember one time in elementary
school. Like miles. Like more than a mile.
One time in elementary school, I didn't make the bus and I walked to school. I lived on a humongous gated hill that was at least 1.5 miles or 2 miles from my school, all downhill. And I showed up to school. It had to have been like 1.5 hours, 2 hours late because the walk took so... I'm like, how did no one get arrested? Like... If my kids walked to school...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No way.
No. Yeah, it's not the same.
Yeah. I just, like, had it...
But this is in 2002. It's not like it was that long.
I feel like...
even that, yeah. Still.
20 years ago.
Still. I guess. I don't know.
That's like a rat.
I guess.
I was in
elementary
school. Like, 99, 2000. Like,
yeah.
It was a very different time. Like, it is wild. It's wild to me.
It is a very different time.
Even, like, during summer break, me and my brother would just, like, leave the house. We'd pack, like, cans of tuna and, like, go on 5-mile hikes.
I wish my kids would do that.
Gigantic. Well, there wasn't good TV.
They don't watch TV. They just play video games.
We didn't have video games like that. You know?
Yeah.
Like, we didn't have any of that. And so that's what we would do.
That's better.
But, like, we would just write my mom a note. And be like, we went on a hike. And she would be like, oh, great. And then we'd come home. And she'd be like, how was your hike?
Yeah.
Oh, it was nice. And she didn't know for years that it was, like, we were going like 5 miles.
Yep.
I would get hurt. One time my brother almost
You don't
died.
have cell phone? Oh, what?
He didn't have a cell phone? Yeah. He was like climbing this giant rock that had like a rope on it, and he lost control of the rope and almost fell off this like 50-foot rock face. Like, dangerous. I'm like, I would never.
No.
My kids would never. Nope. Anyways, I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
Continue. It's a different day and age. I can't imagine. Like,
I know, I can't imagine either. Well, the school did call her mother at work and was like, hey, she never showed up. So she called the cops and reported her missing. But a lot of people thought she was a runaway because A, she's 12, and B, she had talked about running away before and all this. But her mom was like, no, she didn't take any clothes. She doesn't have any money. She doesn't have anything with her. Why would she run away with not one item of her own, right?
I mean, totally agree. And I just feel like that's what the police say when they're like, we don't want to do police work. Like, oh, they just ran away. And like,
yeah.
No, like.
They didn't.
Maybe a 12-year-old. 12-year-olds say all kinds of things.
Right.
Like,
they're very dramatic.
You can't take that as, like, word.
Right.
Like, yeah, I was also, like, 7 and wanted to run away and, like, packed a sandwich and, like, hid in a bush down the street. Like, but that's just not serious.
Right. No. Yeah.
Okay, so they thought she was a runaway. Yeah. Did it impede their ability to, like, work that case? Or
they did, despite efforts of the local authorities and the FBI, they did contact the FBI, the state police, because they were like, okay, well, she is a child and she's missing, so we have to contact the FBI.
Yeah, also, even if she is a runaway, I don't fucking care.
Yeah,
like,
she's still a minor. She's not even a teenager yet.
That's still my kid.
Yeah.
Like, you better help me find my kid. I do not care.
Right. I mean, yeah, not even a teenager. Oh, jeez. So no clues surfaced as to the whereabouts of Ashley. Linda O'Neill, a private investigator and friend of the Pond family, told Lori the same thing, quote, oh, she will call and she will be home in no time, unquote. So, like, her friend was, I don't know if she was trying to, like, soothe her, make her feel better maybe, but like, so police conducted a brief search of the area and questioned some residents, and like that was the end of it, and nothing had really, like, they just kind of died out for a couple weeks.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate that.
She's 12.
So much.
Yeah. So the authorities thought for a split second she hadn't run away and she had maybe been kidnapped. So they did alert the FBI because it had been so many days that she had been missing. So the authorities began finally investigating Ashley's life and behavior before her disappearance to see if they could figure out what or where she went.
But, like, isn't the common saying, like, the first 48 hours are the most important?
Yeah. They fucked that. It's been days.
Wow.
Yeah. Her father paid frequent visits to her. Remember, she just lives with her mom in the apartment right now. In 2001, before she went missing. So they kind of were like, what's up with him? And he stopped visiting her because he was sentenced to 18 years in prison for sexually assaulting Ashley for the past 4 years of her life. So they were like, oh, it's not the father because he's already in jail. Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. It was rough. So, like, her dad was...
Yeah. I thought you really dropped that ball.
It's rough. Yeah.
Okay.
So...
Let me process that.
Yeah. I mean, Jesus Christ. The shit that people go through that you just don't realize. It's insane.
But, like,
your dad, and he was sentenced to 18. I mean, it should have been life. Like, I don't know. It's gross. 18 years in prison.
But it's your dad.
It's your dad.
That's your child.
Yeah.
That is so fucking sick.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
and that was like starting at 8 because he did it for 4 years.
I can't even think, like, being a pedophile or, like, any of those aisle terms,
right.
You know, like, that's something I can't imagine.
No.
Ever being, like, I can't understand how people can feel an attraction to like a child. Like, I just don't get it.
Yeah.
But especially like your own child.
Your own child is
like,
different. Yeah.
That's so, it's like a whole nother level of like perversion to me that
Oh yeah, for sure.
Find so upsetting and disturbing. Like,
kid, yeah.
You like changed diapers of that kid.
Yeah.
And like, what?
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Ugh.
So on March 8th, 2002, 2 months after Ashley disappeared, Miranda Gaddis, 13, also vanished around 8 a.m. while on her way to the bus stop at the top of the hill.
In the same area?
Miranda and Ashley were good friends. Miranda was actually interviewed after Ashley went missing and was on tape. You can look it up and I'll link the video. And they were talking about how Ashley disappeared. And she is the one that said maybe she ran away because she's talked about it before. But she was like, I don't really know what happened. Like, we don't know what happened. She's being interviewed. And then 2 weeks later, she disappears. It's like, or 2 months. It's just really, whew, you know, you're just watching it and you're like, knowing that what's going to happen to her is just, oof. So they lived in the same apartment complex. Miranda's mother, Michelle Duffey, had left for work about 30 minutes before Miranda was to catch the bus. When Duffey discovered that Miranda had not been at school that day, she immediately contacted the police. But once again, investigators came up empty. So they had like searched around for a little bit and then they were like, well, maybe she ran away too.
Oh, now this.
But I mean, they did that for a little while, but then they were like, these cases kind of look similar. Like the girls looked exactly the same. They were the same age. They disappeared at the same time. They disappeared at the same place. Like
they lived in
the same place. So.
Like, no, maybe this apartment complex is just housing a bunch of runaway kids. Like, what?
Yeah. So without any leads to follow, investigators began looking into the possibility that the person who had abducted the girls might be someone that they knew. It seemed that whoever the perpetrator was, he or she seemed to be targeting the same type of girl. Ashley and Miranda were close in age, involved in similar activities, looked remarkably similar to each other, and most importantly, both girls disappeared on their way to the bus stop.
So also someone who like knows their patterns, right? Like,
exactly.
That's not like a random drive-by, like opportunity type deal.
They knew exactly what time they walked to the bus.
Exactly. Like,
yeah.
Okay, they're going to be walking to the bus at 8 a.m.
Mm-hmm. So as they're investigating people, there's a name that comes up. Ward Weaver III. He rented a house at 2507 South Beaver Creek Road in Oregon City.
How far away is that from the bus stop?
So, like, there's the apartments that are, like, on this road, and it's, like, kind of up a hill, like, maybe a half a mile. And then his house is at, like, the bottom of the hill, and then the bus stop is, like, right by his house.
Okay.
So it's not far. Like, they don't have a far walk to the bus stop, and they do go past his house. Okay. Weaver's 12-year-old daughter, Mallory, so he has a kid, Mallory, hung out with two of her friends who happened to be 12-year-old Ashley and 13-year-old Miranda. The three friends were members of the same school dance class, and Weaver's daughter had regular sleepovers with Pond, Gaddis, and other friends at the Weaver house, at Mallory's dad's house.
All right.
The neighborhood girls walked past Weaver's house toward their school bus stop, and sometimes Weaver even gave Pond a lift to school when she was running late or missed the bus. So she often did miss the bus, and he would say, hey, I'll get in and take you. Mind you, his daughter's already gotten on the bus and gone to school. Like, it'd be like one thing if he was taking his daughter and her and then going, but no, it wasn't like that.
But it's also like clearly grooming.
Oh, sure, for sure.
Right? Like,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hey, look at how nice I am.
Yeah.
Let me help you.
Yeah, let me do all this for you. Mm-hmm. In late 2001, Pond accused Weaver of attempting to rape her inside his house, and while the incident was reported to police, no charges were filed.
So she reported that to her mom?
She reported it to police.
You know what I'm saying? But, like,
yes.
I'm assuming she told her mom, right?
And
then they told the police.
told the police. And they took a report, and nothing was ever done.
Well, I mean, I'm honestly not shocked.
I mean, this poor girl just had her father in jail.
We don't need to talk
and
about
then this asshole, and like nothing's done of it. Now she's gonna just think that like this is the world. This is what men do. Like,
sadly, it kind of is.
Yeah.
But also, like, it's hard because I feel like 12 is such an age, like that in-between age, you know, where, like, yeah, you can justify, like, you're responsible enough to walk down to a bus stop. Sure. You know, like, you know that they can get themselves out of the house
100%
to school, like, especially if you know your kid.
Yeah.
And, like, you have to work. Yeah. Like, that's such a hard spot to be in, where, like, if she were any younger, the mom would have to find someone to help her get to school. And if she were any older, like, she would be able to drive herself or whatever, you know?
Yeah.
It's like that middle stage where you're like, okay, you're old enough to be alone, but, like...
But you're still just
a baby.
Yeah. You're still just a baby. Okay, so let's talk about Weaver. He was born...
I really don't want to.
He was born April 6th, 1963 in Humboldt County, California, to Trish and Ward Weaver Jr. So... He's the third. And I was like reading this and I scan things. I don't like actually read anything.
You should never say
I should. But I was like, this is really confusing. So I guess I read over the part that he was the third. And so then I was reading about the junior and I'm like, this is really not connecting in my brain cell. So then I had to go back and I was like, oh, I get it now.
Well, that's why you should read fully.
Fully, yes. So he's the third. The guy that we're talking about. That's Mallory's dad.
Got it.
Okay. So his father abandoned the family, and several years later, his mother married a guy named Bob Boudreaux, who happened to be an abusive alcoholic, and he relocated the family to Portland, Oregon.
What a choice.
I mean, why not?
What a choice. Like, hey, I have these kids, and, like, let me see who I should be with. Oh, an abusive alcoholic?
Perfect.
Great environment for my children.
Yep.
Sounds good.
Weaver first exhibited antisocial behavior as a teenager. His sister Tammy later said that he physically and sexually abused at least one family member by the time he was 12 years old. And his half-brother, Robert Boudreaux, claimed that Weaver frequently beat him during their childhood. So I don't know about that. I'm like, my boys frequently beat each other too. It's probably not the same.
I think there's a difference.
Yeah, there's probably a difference.
Like, there's a fine line between, like, you know, what's a healthy sibling relationship if you're not chasing each other through the house with a hammer. Yeah. And then beating down the door. Is that a normal thing siblings do?
I mean, they did it. You did that too?
No.
Your sibling did that. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I'm like, is that normal? Like, when I look at my kids, I'm like, are they going to do the same thing? Like,
No, mine don't physically hit each other, but they'll, like, just slap, you know, like, not like a punch or like a slap or anything. It's just like a minor hit or like a bump, you know, on purpose. They run into each other. There's never been an incident of, like, physical fighting.
Oh, there's still time.
Yeah, well. Shit.
They're still young.
Yeah.
You got a few more years.
Well, I guess so. In 1981, a teenage relative reported that he had repeatedly raped and beaten her. Police investigated allegations of abuse, but the county prosecutors decided not to pursue charges because Weaver had enlisted in the armed services and would be leaving Portland shortly thereafter.
But, like, won't he be coming back?
Right. So he hadn't even graduated high school yet. He graduated.
I feel like these fucking people,
I know.
Like the DA and the
all
whatever,
them.
Like, they need to be held accountable.
Mm-hmm.
You're responsible.
This whole fucking family, generations of this family are just fucked. Like, they should.
But you're responsible.
Right.
Had someone done something.
Yeah.
You know, then he would have had a record. Yeah. Like, would he be able to have a bus stop next to his house if he was a fucking child, like a sex offender, registered sex offender? You know, like.
Wow. And he graduated from Marshall High School in Portland and then joined the U.S. Navy Reserve. So it wasn't even like
I wasn't even going anywhere.
like going anywhere, but they were like, oh, well, since
his one weekend
signed up, you know, we're just not going to press charges because he's just off to the Navy or whatever. Yeah, it was pretty bad. He was discharged the following year on May 17th, 1982 for heavily drinking. During his time in the Navy, he met his future wife, Maria Stout. He did go over to the Philippines. Yeah, okay.
They do like
but he barely made it a year. So he met his future wife, Maria Stout, a native of the Philippines. The couple moved in with Weaver's parents, and she soon got pregnant. 5 months into her pregnancy, she was physically assaulted by Weaver and hospitalized. So enough to be hospitalized, but refused to press charges. So again,
I think they've changed that. Like, I think now
it's up to the hospital.
It's up to the DA if they're going to press charges, and not so much like the victim having to press charges. I think.
No, I think the hospital can press charges on your behalf too.
Yeah, I don't know all the rules, but I want to say that that's changed now. Like, it's not like
it's not like it was in the 80s. No.
Yeah.
Their son, Francis, was born in December 1982. So in 1981, Weaver's father, Weaver III's father, Jr., murdered a couple whose car had broken down in California, and he buried them in his backyard. He was sentenced to death for the crime in 1984, and he is also a suspected serial killer, being suspected of up to 24 other murders. So this is where I was like, wait, what? So this guy kills somebody. Junior kills a couple, and then his son sees this, is growing up molesting and raping and abusing these people too. So like,
okay.
Yeah. So in 1984, the couple, Weaver and his wife, the third, relocated to Bakersfield, California. On June 15th, 1986, Weaver attacked the teenage daughters of a friend in Fairfield, California, striking one of the girls, a 15-year-old Jennifer O'Donnell, with a block of concrete. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison for the assault. So at least he got that. He hit a child with a block of concrete. I don't know why. There were two girls that he was hanging. It was a friend and then their daughters, and somehow they got in an argument. I don't know what to think, but
fuck?
Yeah, with a block of concrete.
Okay.
After his release, Weaver and his wife Stout relocated to Canby, Oregon, where they operated a grocery store. There, Maria gave birth to their fourth child, Mallory, in 1989. So that's the Mallory that is living with her dad. In 1993, Maria Weaver filed a restraining order against her husband, and their marriage ended in divorce. By July 1995, Weaver had already beat his new girlfriend, Christy Sloan, with a cast iron skillet. He was jailed for the incident, but Sloan refused to testify against him. By October, they were back together, and in February 1996, they got married, and the marriage lasted for 4 years. Okay. Just kind of a, up and down with him. Yeah. So after both girls vanished, Weaver III
and his biological
son, Francis, dug a hole in his backyard and covered it with concrete.
Oh, not.
Weaver told his son, Francis, it was a pad for a hot tub. KATU television news reporter Anna Song conducted an interview with Weaver prior to his arrest, during which he stood on top of the fucking concrete slab where Ashley Pond's body was buried. So, as he's being investigated in this case, reporters are coming and interviewing him and being like, hey, you're like, what's going on? We see that you're involved with this. And he came out and said, I know I'm a suspect and I don't have anything to hide. And the police were like, we never named you as a suspect. So he's just flaunting, you know what I mean? Like
almost bragging
about it. Yeah. I'm not, blah, blah, blah. I know I'm we never said that you.
What's that thing people used to say? Weird flex, but okay.
Yeah. Weird flex, bro.
All right, weird flex, man. But,
Right.
But okay.
So the reporter asked him about the slab, and Weaver told him, saying, "I'm putting in a jacuzzi. The last time I checked, that wasn't against the law."
Good way to
Right?
first off have an alibi and also be really defensive about it.
It's just, you can see his interview, like he's being interviewed by this reporter, and you're just like, what the, like, she's asking him these questions and he's like giving her more of a response than I think she wanted or was looking for, and was like, whoa, is this, like, we need to take a couple.
Too much.
There's actually one reporter that went on to say when both bodies were found, she started crying live on air, and another lady, I don't know if she was a reporter or like a camera operator or something, came and took the microphone and finished the story for her because she couldn't do it, because she had been following this investigation for so long and she was so involved with it, and it was just too much for her. It was really sad. Okay, Portland Tribune reporter Jim Redden got 2 tips early on. One from Linda O'Neill, the private investigator and relative of Pond, which prompted him to interview Weaver. And Weaver told Redden that he was the FBI's prime suspect at a time when it was generally believed that there was no suspect. So, like, he was just bragging. During a July 9th, 2002 interview with Good Morning America, Weaver commented, quote, "I have no problem with them looking at me as a suspect. The problems are coming with what they are doing as far as questions that are being asked of my family. They're telling parents of my daughter's friends to not let their daughters spend the night because I'm a prime suspect and their daughters might be next." Like, what? You're going to go on Good Morning America and say that?
What a weird fucking dude.
Yeah. So on August 13th, 2002, Weaver's son Francis called police claiming that Weaver had attempted to rape his 19-year-old girlfriend. When speaking to authorities, Francis suggested that his father had been involved in the murders of Pond and Gaddis. Weaver was arrested for the attempted sexual assault, and law enforcement subsequently initiated a warrant to investigate his property. Pond's stepmother, who had suspected Weaver in both disappearances, erected a sign next to the concrete slab on his property which read, "Dig me up." She was, like, done. You know, she was like, the cops, you're not doing anything. Like, this guy is obviously flaunting his shit. So, like, what's going on?
Wow.
Like, she put a sign on his...
Wow.
Yeah. The FBI began a search of Weaver's property on South Beaver Creek Road on August 24th, 2002. That day, the FBI agents discovered Gaddis's remains inside an empty microwave box in a storage shed behind Weaver's home. On August 25th, the remains of Pond were found underneath the concrete slab in Weaver's backyard where she had been stored in a 55-gallon barrel. In 2002, Governor John Kitzhaber launched a multi-agency investigation into the handling of the first report of Weaver's abuse of Pond. Weaver remained under arrest for the attempted rape of his son's girlfriend until October 2nd, 2002, when he was indicted and charged with 2 counts of aggravated murder, 2 counts of abuse of a corpse in the second degree, 1 count of sexual abuse in the first degree, 1 count of attempted rape in the second degree, 1 count of attempted aggravated murder, 1 count of first degree attempted rape, 1 count of sexual abuse in the first degree, 1 count of sexual abuse in the second degree, and 2 counts of sexual abuse in the third degree. In September 2004, Weaver pleaded guilty to 2 of those charges and no contest to the rest. A plea bargain allowed him to avoid the death penalty. He was sentenced to 2 life sentences without parole. Francis Weaver was hailed as a hero and spoke openly about his role of the arrest of his father. Quote, "The whole thing just disgusts me," he said in a 2002 interview with Good Morning America. "I'd hate to even think I was brought into this world from a man like that."
Wow.
On March 4th, 2007, Weaver was walking to the barber shop at the Snake River Correctional Institute for haircuts when the barber...
What?
It's the Snake River Correctional Institute haircut area.
Okay.
So he was on his way to get a haircut. Okay. And the barber, who was also another inmate, revealed a makeshift knife and attacked him, causing neck and shoulder injuries. He was treated at the prison. The barber was placed in a disciplinary unit.
Excuse me, a makeshift knife is called a shank. Call it what it is.
Okay, a shake.
Thank you.
In 2009, Gaddis's younger sister, Mariah, this is sad, visited Weaver in prison on 2 different occasions. She really wanted, to understand why. She said, quote, "I had to know what happened. It was the only way I could put it behind me." During the visits, Weaver admitted to murdering Pond and Gaddis with his bare hands. So he told her that he murdered her sister with his bare hands, and told Mariah that he had planned to murder her next. What a fucking asshole.
What?
Yeah. Francis Weaver.
What?
Yeah.
Did he tell her why he...
No, that was it. I killed her with my own bare hands, and I'm going to do you next if I wasn't caught.
What a fucking shitty thing to say. Regardless of if it's true or not, but
right, to a child.
Now she has to, I mean, she's probably not a child anymore.
Well, yeah.
But now she has to live with that for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
If I had been there that day, or it could have been me and my sister could be the survivor guilt that comes with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why I'm questioning why a fucking murderer is the morals of a murderer, but wow.
So Francis Weaver, the son,
is he a piece of shit too?
was sentenced to life in prison for the 2014 killing of a Grants Pass man. I think that's the area that he lived in, the town.
I figured that.
Weaver was found guilty in the death of Edward Spangler. He cried when he addressed...
Edward what?
Spangler. He cried when he addressed Spangler's family in court during the sentencing, and he said, quote, "I know he was a very good man, and a good son. That was not supposed to happen. I pray for you guys every day. I pray for his children every day." I think it was a drug deal. Yeah, police named 2 other suspects in the death of 43-year-old Edward Spangler in a reported drug deal gone bad. And they said Francis Weaver will also be charged with the murder in the case, even though he was not the actual gunman. But he was there at the time of the murder. So that piece of shit got... it's just all the
generation feels like the wrong place.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, he has lots of arrests for drugs and theft and burglary and...
I mean, if that was your dad.
And then the grandpa,
Yeah.
It's just
when your family legacy is...
Right.
Is that.
I mean, hardcore shit.
But, I don't know, it makes me feel a little bad for him because he was, the reason why the other cases were solved, you know? But also, don't kill people.
You just don't kill people. Deals. Yeah, just don't. Just walk away.
Or all.
Yeah. Spangler's mother, Alice, said she believed the life sentence was appropriate. She said Francis Weaver may have not pulled the trigger, but he set up the drug deal and planned to rob her son. Weaver gave the gun to the man who shot Edward, his mother said. Everything was taken from us, no matter whose fault it was. Court documents show that the suspect stalked and later shot Spangler in the face while trying to steal 15 pounds of marijuana. He shot him in the face. Marijuana? Really? Over marijuana? Weaver...
It's 2014. Isn't it low in Oregon at the time?
Yeah, probably. Jesus.
What are we...
Yeah.
Over weed?
Weaver's mother claimed her son was framed in an outburst outside the courthouse. Quote, "There is no justice. Justice is not served. It's not right," she yelled after the sentencing. "They framed my son and everything. They framed him." Weaver already had an extensive criminal history, including drug possession and several assault charges. Thanks for listening. You can find us on Instagram at
The Murder Mamas,
Facebook,
The M Mamas,
Twitter,
The Murder Mamas,
email,
themurdermamas@gmail.com.
And if you like us and are happy with our content, please leave us a review and a 5-star rating. We would appreciate it. Bye.
Bye.